Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, I am joined by Nova, and we're going to be talking about Black Beauty, the 1994 version.
The actual 1994.
I'm so upset. Okay, listeners, I went on Amazon and, like a fool, trusted Amazon, which is a thing you should never do.
Accurate.
Yeah, and so I'm watching the 94 version. What I thought was the 94 version. It is tagged the 94 version. I don't know any actors or actresses' names. I don't know anything about anything. So I, looked at the cast list and it matched IMDb. So I was like, cool. And it was on Amazon Prime Video. So I was like, excellent. I don't have to pay for this. So I'm watching this. And, I should have known something was wrong because you were like, it's such a good representation. It's the best. You said it was the best representation of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, all of the other ones must be so bad for this to be the best representation of the book. So what actually happened is apparently I watched the 1970s version. And keep in mind, by the time we figured out that I was watching a different version, I was over an hour into this movie that's an hour and 40 minutes.
I was dying laughing. I'm sorry.
In this movie, not only does Black Beauty not talk or have any narration, which was very upsetting, but also none of the characters are the same. None of the plot lines are the same. So there is there's like a boy and his dad, so it's Joe, but his last name is something else. It's not Green. It's Joe something. I don't remember. It starts with an M. But this kid and his dad like own a farm, and this Black Beauty is supposed to be his horse, okay? And so basically, when this guy dies that like owns the land for the farm, his son takes over. His son's like a drunk and just like he's Squire Gordon. He's the new Squire Gordon. His name is Sam, and he's like an alcoholic, and he's basically supposed to be a mix of like 15 different people. So he like is super abusive. Black Beauty kills him because after the like he becomes he also becomes Reuben Smith, like the Sam Gordon is also Reuben Smith and also all of the terrible owners mixed together. So Black Beauty like gets taken by Squire Gordon when Joe is sent, like when the farm is purchased, and they're kicked off their farm. So Joe's freaking out because like he was like promised this horse, and yeah, I'm just gonna like give the whole plot of this movie because I need to talk about it for a second before we jump into the way better movie, okay? And I love seeing your reaction. The listeners are not getting the experience that I'm getting, but we'll talk about it after I tell you all the plots, okay? So then after, we get the Reuben Smith moment of being flung out of this carriage, then he gets found by like a traveling group, which I like. They're just like traveling in carts, okay? And like there's like a turf war situation of these two cart traveling people. So like he's like, I'm gonna be king and I challenge you to a race. And like keep in mind, this man found this horse next to a dead body, does not report the dead body, steals the horse, and then like he's like, I'm gonna challenge you. So he's like, the guy's like, you're gonna challenge me? I'm the king. And then tries to set up a bunch of traps to like knock Black Beauty out. But the other guy wins. Then a brawl happens. Black Beauty leaves. He is found just wandering by like a merchant guy. The merchant guy's like, oh, look, this horse is totally ours now. Ha ha ha. He's ours. Don't you remember how we forgot him? Yeah, we found him again. He's ours. Okay. And then steals him again. But then it's like sees that there's like this obviously identifying mark on the white, and he goes, we'll just paint him black. It's fine. We'll paint it black and sell him. So then he gets purchased by a circus. Okay. And then they're like, "Why is this horse so cheap?" And then like the guy who owns the circus, who purchased it for his daughter, realizes, oh, it's because he's definitely stolen because he has this white mark. So they decide to cover him up until they get out of the city. They make it to their next place, the circus, and then so they make it to the next place, and the girl from the circus gets kidnapped by a rival circus. Black Beauty then commits murder to get them out of this kidnapping situation, and then the dad sells him again because he's like, I can't have a murdery horse here. So we're going to sell him. And she's like, the horse just saved my life. What are you talking about? And he goes, well, he did kill someone, so... And then sells him. And then by that point, when I texted you, he became a circus horse. That is the point where we realized I was watching a different movie.
I was a little sus when you were talking about Sam, but I was like, maybe I just missed them saying Squire Gordon's name.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I never really paid attention to that part because he's always just Squire Gordon.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe his name is Sam. Like, it sounds weird, but whatever. And then you're like, wait, he becomes a circus horse? And I immediately went, what the hell is she watching? Because this is not it.
Yeah.
So I was like, you need to send me pics now.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is not correct. I knew it. And I was like, oh god.
Yeah. So, it's just fully tagged wrong on Amazon. I don't know why. And then I looked at the reviews because I was like, surely other people have had this problem. And some of the reviews were like, yeah, when I downloaded it, it was randomly the 70s version, which is how I found out it was the 70s version.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. I don't know anything about it. All I'll tell you is it is not even remotely like the book at all. Yeah.
No. A lot of them are either like that. They take a lot of like, here's a black horse and we're naming it Black Beauty. And we'll name some of the characters the same.
Mm-hmm.
But that's about it. But you get a lot of horse girl translations
horse
of it.
Boy.
Where it is like Black Beauty is this like abused horse and he meets a special girl and they save things together. And I'm like, okay, I grew up in Horse Girl. I know the type. Most of them I don't really care about. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's a thing. It's fine. Mm-hmm. I'm like, but when you do it to a story that is about animal abuse,
yeah,
I'm like, okay, we just change the names and it's a completely different story you have now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're not even having this, it's not even the same anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Just change the horse's name, change people's name, and have your own story at this point.
Yeah, for sure. I don't understand why that all happened.
No. That's why, like, the 94 is, like, the best.
Yeah, it's drastically better when I was watching the actual one. Because I was, like, really mad because I found myself not even caring that it was Black Beauty. Because Black Beauty had no narration and seems like a background character. Like, it seemed like it was more of a timepiece about, like, the lives of poor people, really, more than anything else.
Yeah.
So...
It sounded, by what you just described, it was more people-centered than Black Beauty-centered.
Which is not the point of Black Beauty, so I don't even know why they made that choice. It was a terrible movie, so just, like, don't watch the 70s one. Like, it was fine as a movie, but it wasn't good as a Black Beauty adaptation, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I haven't seen all of the adaptations because it's like every time you turn around, they're coming out with like a new one.
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I at least like when they do ones like, there was one I watched when I was younger. It was like called American Black Beauty. And so it was a very different story kind of based on it. But it was very clear from the get-go, this is not the same Black Beauty. It's just, like...
Yeah.
Taking inspiration from. And I was like, okay, if you're gonna, like, advertise it to me like that, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But if you're like, no, this is Black Beauty, and then it's like, no, you're not even close. Like,
Especially
just
when they're like
don't.
based on the novel by, and you're like,
I'm like, or nah.
yeah,
No, thank you.
yeah.
So it'll be fun when we get to the other one.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like, should we do
Are
a
you ready
roast
to
on the
roast?
70s? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So let's get into the actual 94
Yes.
version.
Yes.
Immediately excited that they actually did narration for Beauty. And like, I don't care that there wasn't like talking points for all the other horses, because I think they did enough to not make it cringy, I guess.
Yeah, and you get enough of like you kind of see like Merrylegs being a little chaos pony, like where he's the best pony to the girls, and then the boy, he's like, or nah.
Yeah.
And then Beauty kind of talks about how great of a little pony he is, and then talks a little bit about Ginger. So while you don't get them narrating their own story, you still get enough of it.
Mm-hmm. Quick point on Ginger. It made it seem like they were trying to convey that like Black Beauty and Ginger were in love, which was an interesting choice. I was like, okay. Because he's like, I was dreaming about what could have been, and I was expecting to see a tiny little baby pony and the like his like fascination with the two of them. Like,
yeah. I did think it was cute. Like, it wasn't something I was like, oh my god, why'd you do this?
It was
but
cute.
It was definitely funny at the same time.
Yeah.
How obsessed he was over. He was like, oh my god, she's so pretty. I'm like, aw. He's got the little crush. And she's like, excuse me, go away. Thank you.
It's just like, nice try, but like gross. I know. It was funny. Because like you also don't get Ginger's like commentary at all. You just have to like assume it based on like how she moves and stuff.
Yeah.
I was shocked they showed like an actual birth on camera.
I know. I was like, the first time I watched it, I was like, is this real?
Yeah, right?
And I'm like, I think I watched it with my parents, and they were like, yep, that's how it's done. I was like, oh, cool. Because I've seen foals like right after birth, but not like the process.
Yeah.
The stable I rode at, they had a couple foals. Neither of them made it. But like I got to see them when they were like really little, like a couple days old.
Yeah.
So cute. But yeah. One didn't make it from birth. I think it was like stillborn or died like right after.
Oh.
And the next one, when the umbilical cord came off, it like didn't scar over, so she was just like bleeding.
That sucks.
It was really sad.
I was not prepared for just how janky Black Beauty's scarred knees would look. I did not think like I kind of forget how horses scar because I haven't really seen it much. But it's prominent. It is very prominent.
Oh yeah, you see that a lot with like I'm gonna say livestock, like cattle, horses, and stuff. They get like these big gummy scars, especially on their legs. So, still though, we don't need these kind of knees in our stables.
Oh, I know.
Your guy harmed the horse. Come on, my guy.
Yeah, your fault.
Oh my god. Right?
They really played up that lady being all about fashion, and like I thought that was really well done.
Oh yeah, I thought it was great because like they're trying to control the two horses. And she's like, hello, I need to get to my party. They're freaking out. Everyone's trying to get Ginger under control. Beauty's in pain.
Yeah.
And she's like, time's ticking. Let's go.
And then he stomped on that guy's foot. It was very good.
Stand still. Stomp. That, let me tell you, that hurts.
It looked like it hurt. I can only, like, I had a friend who had a Rottweiler. And that dog, whenever it's standing on your foot, you're like tearing up a little bit because its paws are heavy. So I can only imagine a horse that's like 15 times the size. I'd be crying in the
He'd
club.
be about probably 1,200 pounds ish.
It's like a
And you
car
think of
rolling
that.
over your foot.
Oh, yeah. The amount of times I have had black toes from getting stepped on.
Yeah.
You get very used to where their feet go and how they move.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it happened more when I was younger versus.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember one time there was one horse. He didn't move worth a darn. Like, if he was standing, he was standing. And he stepped on my foot. I was this little tiny. I was like 7. I'm pushing him. And they're like, push him off. And I'm like, my entire body weight is on this horse. When he moves, I'm going with him. He would not move.
Oh, God.
My foot was feeling that one for sure.
I'd be wearing steel toe boots.
A lot of lesson horses are good too, because obviously they're around kids. If they feel that they're stepping on something, they'll step off.
Oh.
Yeah. So I had a lot of that of they'd be like, oop, that's not what I'm supposed to step on. They'd shift a little and step back down. So. And then you had the one that fell asleep when you were trying to groom him, and you had to watch out that the entire horse didn't fall on you, but you know.
Do they do that when they fall asleep? They don't just like stay standing?
They do, because when they spend most of their sleep standing, because their joints will like lock, but they do need to lay down to get like a deep sleep. But he would just get so relaxed, and we're tacking him up, so he didn't like, his joints wouldn't lock or something, and he just down.
That's me.
There was multiple times. I loved this horse. And I'd be tacking him up, and we got into a system that worked. You couldn't just groom him and then tack him up. You had to, like, alternate. Groom a little, put, like, the saddle on, groom a little, put his bridle on, continue grooming. Because otherwise, yeah, you just see he'd start tipping. And it was like, get out of the way, and he just hit the ground. And then it would wake him up, and he'd stand up, and he'd look at you like, that wasn't me.
It's like me, little narcoleptic horse.
He'd stand there and look at you like, I didn't do it. And he'd stand like perfectly still, like, I'm sorry.
He's like, well, that was embarrassing. Anyways.
Yep. So.
What else? Oh, I thought the cinematography in this movie was absolutely beautiful.
Yes, the soundtrack too is phenomenal. Like, I literally just hear like the opening song, and I'm like, yes, thank you.
Yeah, it was really good. Also, I do kind of like that they changed it to, instead of someone coming and warning them that after Beauty was like, hey, this bridge ain't working, someone comes up and, like, in the book warns them and says, hey, bridge no worky. But this time, you know, someone had to learn the lesson the hard way, which I kind of dig. I was kind of cool with it.
Oh yeah, it was really good. And just like John getting out of the water, and he was like, I am so sorry.
Yeah.
And Scar's like, oh my god, you saved him. And Beauty's like, well, wish I could have done more, but you know.
It really upped the dramatics, which I thought was really good. And then it cut out the entire scene of like running for a doctor and stuff. Like, it was able to like mesh together a lot more things, which is perfect. I was cool with it.
Yeah, they did take out a lot of like the talks of abuse with the other horses.
Yeah.
And it was like, that was fine, because sometimes it was much in like the book.
Yeah.
And obviously they're making like a family movie, and it did pretty good getting on the abusive side anyhow. It's like, yeah, removing some of that didn't really do much.
Speaking of the horse abuse, I need to know how they made these horses act during the fire, or if they actually were freaking out these horses, because I was stressed.
I honestly don't know about this one.
Nervous.
It's late enough that I feel like there would be like the laws with Hollywood animals.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it probably was like a fake fire. And the horses obviously are decent actors
Mm-hmm.
anyway. That it is very possible that it was just they were faking it.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they did not do anything, but I'm honestly not sure.
I was stressed out because I was like, these horses are either very, very good at acting, or they intentionally stressed out these horses in a movie about animal abuse. And
Yeah.
what?
I feel like probably not, just because they had the people in there too.
Yeah.
If it was just the animals, I sadly could see Hollywood doing that.
Yeah.
But with the fact that there were people having to go in,
Well, I'm trying to figure out. I know there was a fake. I'm sure the fire is fake. Like, I'm sure it's a fake
yeah.
fire. But I'm trying to figure out, it's like, did these horses get conditioned to, like, act nervous, or were they actually panicking? You know what I mean?
I know that the one that plays Beauty has been in a lot of movies. He's trained very well.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me if he was just trained to act that way.
Okay.
Because they can act a lot like dogs of, you get the dog like panting a lot and acting like it's nervous. And then you see the behind the scenes and the people are like, oh, good boy. And then they're like, oh, yeah, I did good. So I'm assuming, but I mean, I honestly don't know.
Yeah. I feel
the only horse movie I know for sure was War Horse.
Mm-hmm.
Because Spielberg stated that the entire movie, none of it is special effects except for like 3 30-second scenes
Mm-hmm.
where he was like, it would have hurt the horse if we did it real. So it was
That's
special
fair.
effects in those. But the rest of it, he did full on effects. So.
Yeah. I was trying. Did they CGI run down Black Beauty, or how did they do that? Like, do they find a dying horse and like bring him in? Like,
that would be my thought for this time period, of maybe they just went to like a slaughterhouse and found it, or it's just makeup.
I don't know, because that horse looked ragged, like very thin. Like, I mean, the 90s had CGI, right? Like, that would have been, like they did Star Wars, but I'm trying to figure out. So I know that the director of this did also Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah, so it's definitely possible.
Yeah, it's possible, but I'm like, it's either really good CG or decent CGI, or like they found the raggediest horse ever, and we're like, bring him in.
I mean, either was possible for sure.
Yeah, I don't know.
They usually use about 6 different horses per movie, like this. There's usually one that's the main horse, but then for certain things that they need it to do, they'll bring in a different one.
That makes sense.
Maybe they had like a scrawny one. It's hard to tell. I don't know. I'd have to like look into that, honestly.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if they did grab a scrawny one off like the slaughterhouse market, it got a good home after.
I do kind of like that Black Beauty has a sixth sense in this one. Mm-hmm. I think that's fun. I think it's a fun little taste. A little niblet.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I do like that they made it so all of the horses survived the fire in this one instead of killing. Like, they really stayed away from death except for Ginger's, which was kind of nice.
Yeah, which I feel like that goes back to the try to make it a family-friendly movie, too.
Yeah.
Which is totally fine. Like, it definitely gets the point of don't abuse your horse across.
Yeah.
Without killing every other horse in the movie.
I know. And I think, too, like, especially for this time period, if you present a movie, like, exactly as an adaptation of this book to children, no kid is gonna like it.
No.
So
they would hate it.
Yeah. And it would not become a classic. So I'm very cool with them just being like, okay, if you want to get the sadder version, read the book.
Right? If you want to read all about the abuse,
Mm-hmm.
if you would like to see more of this kind of abuse, just look up a documentary.
Yeah, right.
We're making this a fun family film with happy ending.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly happy endings.
I do like the way the movies seem to be using Joe as a through line, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but yeah, so Joe keeps coming up. He kept going to horse auctions. Don't know why he's there, but whatever. It's fine. I do like that he was seen more. I think it ties this movie into like a nice little bow, so I'm cool with it.
Yeah. I feel like because it's likely that he was a groom, like how in the book he was a groom for the ladies at the end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that he's probably like a head groom for someplace and he's looking for horses for them. And so he's going
Yeah.
to auctions and checking things out. Because that, I think, is one thing that they usually would do, kind of thing. Like, in the beginning, we saw John go get Beauty.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, we know that the man who raised Beauty and Squire were friends and actively fighting horse abuse together.
Mm-hmm.
But you did get to see that, like, the groom goes and gets the horses and takes care of them, kind of thing.
Yeah. Plus, I think, honestly, when you have an interest in something, you kind of just window shop a lot.
Oh, yeah.
You know? Like me in every bookstore just staring.
Me following all kinds of horse sale pages and going, oh, I like that one. I want that one.
I've been thinking about trying to get a project car at some point, so I just keep like scrolling Facebook and I'm like, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Right?
And then my roommate sent me this like beautiful like old Corvette. And I'm like, stop sending me cars I can't afford. I love it so much. And the Pontiac Firebird or Fiero, sorry. I'm like, oh god, it's so pretty. Oh, it's so bad.
Me looking at vans on Facebook Marketplace and being like,
Yes.
ooh, ooh, ooh.
One of my friends just got a camper van because she's like traveling the United
Yeah.
States right now. And I'm like, how does it feel to live my dream?
Right? Oh my god. I have friends on Facebook that they're like, hey, by the way, we just moved to Wyoming. Like, they just up and were like, we're gonna move out there. And they did it. And I was like,
I love that.
wow.
I really
Amazing.
feel like that's the best way to do that kind of stuff. It's like ghosting goodbyes because then it's like everybody, even people you don't really want to see that much, just start coming out of the woodwork and they're like, before you leave, we need to hang
Yeah.
out. And it like really slows down the process. Like for me, I only moved an hour away and I had so many people being trying to reach out to me being like, oh, we should hang out before you go, even knowing like damn well we never hung out when I
Yeah.
lived in this town. And then suddenly they're like, oh, let's hang out. And you're like, I need to pack my crap up. Like, I don't
You
really
can
want
come
to hang
over
out.
while I'm packing.
Yeah.
And I'll pack and you chat. And that's about how we're doing this.
Yeah. I'm like, if you really want to hang out with me, you can come see me at my new place. It's
Right?
not that far. I mean, I'll be in town once in a while. Invite me to things still, and I'll try and make it. But I hate the whole, like, really big production of leaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
I find it annoying. But if you move to Alaska, I have to know. So
Okay. You know. My therapist, actually, I was talking to her one day, and she was like, our age right now. She's like, this is the perfect time to just be like, I'm moving to a different state. She's like, even if you only go for like a year or two and just explore. And I'm like, very true. She goes, this is the time. And I'm like, are you trying to convince us or something? Like, what's going on here?
hint, hint, wink, wink.
So,
yeah, if you go to Alaska, I definitely am gonna book a trip to come visit you.
yeah.
I keep
We're at least
seeing
gonna visit there. I don't know, moving there fully, but like 100%.
they do Alaskan cruises, which is honestly the best way to travel.
Yeah, I know people who went on some of those. So
It's a lot cheaper. Like when you really add everything up, it is so much cheaper to do a cruise.
mm-hmm.
Because people don't like really think about it. They look at the upfront cost and they're like, oh my god. But it's, you know, if when you factor in eating out or, trying to cook, but you'd still end up eating out inevitably, renting a car, airfare, all that crap, like it's so much cheaper to go on a cruise.
Yeah. We when we'd go to Yellowstone, the last time at least, we planned breakfast and lunch. We were buying stuff at the store and dinner was out. It's like we'd already pre-planned that. And it
Yeah.
was like, makes sense, like, because then you get to try all the local things.
Mm-hmm.
But then for all our food throughout the day, because obviously buying at the grocery store is way cheaper.
Yeah.
So that also helps save a ton.
Yeah, we're gonna go on this ski trip, and I'm probably just gonna like meal prep like I usually do, and then just pack it all in a cooler and bring it. So then I don't really have to eat out much. Plus, I'm just allergic to everything, so it's drastically easier for me just to eat what I can.
Or when you get there, depending on how long it is, you might want to just wait to get there and then go to the store and do that.
Yeah.
Because depending on how long of a drive and whatnot, your stuff might not be good.
Yeah, it's a 10-hour drive, I think. And we have like a lot of coolers. So I was thinking probably just dump
a lot of your dry food would be fine. And stuff like unopened bottles.
Mm-hmm.
But like you wouldn't want to bring a lot of meat or anything because that would be pushing it.
They make like a mini fridge, travel cooler. So basically, which I'd really want to get, but it's like you plug it into like the cigarette lighter of your car, and then it's just a mini fridge that like is run by your car. Yeah, right. And then when you take it out, it keeps itself cold. Like you can throw ice and stuff in it, like a normal cooler. Or it keeps itself cold for a while, and then you can just plug it in whenever you get to where you're going.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of obsessed with it.
That's awesome.
Yeah. If I ever end up doing, like, actual weekending travel, that's probably what I'll do instead of, like, a normal mini fridge situation. Just because I like the idea of being able to, like, take it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Anyways, Black Beauty. I do really like that in this one, Beauty recognizes Joe instead of just Joe recognizing Beauty.
Yeah. Because animals do recognize people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you see the videos of dogs seeing their owner after years, and they're like, oh my god, and they're losing their minds.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, animals recognize us.
Yeah.
And it was made sense of. At first, he was like, oh, this is just another person, and then was like, wait a minute. I know this person.
Mm-hmm.
He's older, but I know this person.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. Because it made me sad in the book when he's like, I don't really remember who this guy is, but okay.
Yeah, first in the book, he was like, who is this?
Yeah.
Question mark? And then it was like, oh.
Yeah. It's also seeing Beauty fall down while they were doing the, while he was, like, being abused. It ruined me a little bit. It made me really sad.
Right. The whole, like, last 20 minutes of this movie always makes me cry at one part or another.
Mm-hmm.
Either it's Ginger when, like, she's going by in the cart, or him, like, falling down, or when Joe starts crying.
Yeah, that got me.
That gets me every time. If I haven't already started crying, I think I texted you. I was like, man, I'm bawling right now.
Ugh. Such a good movie. Oh, I also love Jerry and his family again, and even in this book, like in the movie, Jerry top tier. Braiding.
I love the scene where they're running. He's like, I'm just gonna let him run in the field.
Yeah.
And Beauty steals the bread and is like, I love running, so you're gonna like, come with me. I'm gonna make you happy.
Oh my god, that was so cute.
The braiding was so cute too.
The braiding was so cute.
Kid. I love the little girl is like, they get the horse in there and he's scared and she's like, I want to pet him.
Yeah. The mom's like, ah.
And Jerry's like, he's just scared. It's fine. And then you can see as he's getting used to it, he's just like, yes.
The mom's
he's like,
sweating,
I can
though.
it here. I know. Yeah. She's like, don't know about this. The little girl's like dragging over a stool. She's like,
I do like that they made it so that Jerry was not a favorite customer of the rental company and bought Beauty that way. I like it that they kind of separated that out. I think it made Jerry seem like a better person too. Like he's
Yeah.
already a great person, but it's made him seem even better.
Yeah, and you could see like throughout just the little things he'd do throughout that you could tell he like really took pride in Beauty and helped him. Like the little like he's scared on his first day getting down and just like petting him. And
Mm-hmm.
like, you're okay, old boy, like it's fine. And so Beauty's like, oh, okay. And then Beauty even stated at one point, he's like, it's hard on us, but I have Jerry, so it's all gonna be okay. It's like, you just know right then where he's like, I don't really care for this life, but
Yeah.
this guy's good, so I can deal with it.
Dude, I was in town the other day and I saw a sign, like normally you see like turtle crossing, deer
Yep.
crossing, whatever. It said like horse, like horseback
Mm-hmm.
crossing. And I was like, I was in the middle of town. I was like, what is this? What? And then like
Yeah.
I go up the street a little bit and it's just like a lady randomly riding her horse, like while like people are jogging on the
Yeah.
sidewalk past her. I was like, what? What? Like, cause it's like the middle of like a bigger town. So you don't
Yeah.
usually see that until you're like out in the countryside areas,
Oh,
like
yeah.
country for Florida. I've never been in the middle of town and just seen people like casually taking their horse out for a stroll. I was like, where did you come from? What are you doing? How'd you get here? You know?
You see that a lot with places that have horses more in town. They'll have like the
Hmm.
signs up
Hmm.
because it's like, okay, I'm riding my horse along the street around here. You have the signs, then
Yeah.
you're all good.
I
Well,
did really
most of the time.
appreciate I really appreciate that she was walking her horse in the grass next to the sidewalk, though, because I'm sure it
Mm-hmm.
was better on his little feeties.
Oh yeah.
And that brought me joy because I used to do that with my dog whenever we'd
Mm-hmm.
go for walks. Is I'd always like move her towards. If we were on there was like a shell path, so if we were on the shell path, I always moved her into the grass, which is
Yeah.
also how she ended up running straight into a pond. But I know it's better for her feetsies to be on the grass than on the shell path. And like when
Yeah.
people walk their dogs on a shell path, I'm like, you're a monster. Like you're an actual
Yeah.
monster.
It's also easier if horses have shoes. They can't like they're very slippery on pavement.
Mm,
I mean, it's slippery anyway, like even without, but it's even worse with shoes because it's
mhm,
just straight metal against smooth surface. So they're more likely if they spook or anything,
mhm.
they're slipping. Um,
That makes
so
sense.
they can usually walk fine. Like you see them on parades, they'll kind of just like walk along. If they don't have the shoes, they have a little better grip, but like,
Can't go as
no.
far, probably.
It I don't know if the heat bothers them or
Yeah.
not. Because their hoof, it's like almost like your fingernail, but
Mm-hmm.
tougher.
Mm-hmm.
And like where they like nail in the shoe,
Mm-hmm.
it's like poking a little hole through like the white part of your nail.
Mm-hmm.
Like you kind of like feel it, but it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
So a lot of like that part of the hoof, they don't really like. There's not a lot of pain there, like pain receptors.
Yeah.
Obviously, if the foot is messed up, then it causes issues. But I
I
don't
also think
know about.
my just uneducated guess is probably that it would grind down the nail just walking on it all the time. So it like helps probably preserve it. I don't know.
Yeah, that's why you see like wild horses never have a farrier,
Mm-hmm.
but it's because they're walking all day on rocks and whatnot, and so it's constantly like dog claws. If they're an active dog, you do less nail clipping than if they're not.
Yeah.
Um, so
It's
shoes
like
can
my
be helpful, but it's also like to each their own kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like it's not a requirement, but it can help for sure.
Makes sense. Makes
So.
sense. Oh, I also this is like the first time I really noticed like when they were in the um the field how much equipment goes into riding a horse. Like he's taking off like pounds and pounds of equipment. He's like, all right, now you can run. And it's like 5 minutes are at least spent like just taking stuff off. And I'm
Oh
sure
yeah,
it
the
takes way more
harness, yeah.
time. Yeah, I'm sure it takes way more time. Oh, and then okay, going back to doing the actual production of this movie, the bearing what rain. Like I feel like they reused clips like from different angles just so they would not have to keep these horses in there. But I was still
Yeah.
stressed out.
I feel like they probably used it like once just for like the clip where they're going uphill, if that. And then they were like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
We're not making them use this.
And then they get the rest of the day off.
It's like, yeah, right? We're going to make you do this for one scene, and then we're letting you go in the paddock for the rest of the day. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
We love you. We're sorry.
Because could you imagine being the director and you have to like film this scene in which you're telling people how terrible this is, and then you're like looking at the horse in the eyes as you're saying this?
You could definitely see that, like, when it was like, she was like, put their heads higher in a couple places, they didn't have it on.
Yeah.
Their heads were like low. It was like, okay, yeah, they totally have that on. Okay.
They do that thing you do when you're trying to get a dog to take a photo and you're like holding the treat up above the camera. You're like, look, put your head higher.
I was like, all you guys needed to do, just bring over a halter and be like, hi! And they'd be like, no, don't put it on me. Don't do it. I had the worst time. I rode a pony and she was very small, so it was easy. If she put her head up, I could still get the halter on her. But then, like, the horse I was talking about, the big one that fell asleep, the minute he put his head up, I was like, excuse me, come back down. And he'd do that. He'd put his head up and he'd look at you like, no way. So you'd have to tempt him with treats.
Honestly, same.
So I love the scene where Joe was learning how to catch the horses and he's trying to chase them and they're running around. And I was just like, boy, no.
Yeah, Mary likes is like, la 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 la.
Like, for one, they are prey animals. You start running after them, they're like, ooh, we're chasing. Even if they're like, they know you're not going to hurt them. They're like, oh, this is a game now. Yeah. We're going. And he's running after them, and they're all like, da da da, gotta get away. Just having the greatest time. I was sitting there, I'm like, yep, been there, done that. I'd go into the paddock sometimes, and I'd like hold up the halter, and the horse would see me and be like, peace, and like take off the other way. I'm like, look, I will walk across this and pin you in the corner. I don't care. But I just walk along slowly, and they'd look at me and be like, crap, she's coming.
Yeah. They're like, what if you like turned around though? What if you didn't come over here actually?
You can get them pretty well because they're curious too. If you were to just like start doing random stuff, they'd be like, what are they doing? And they're like, huh, wait a minute.
So they're giant
is
cats.
Always a good option.
Giant cats.
They're like, huh? What? What is this?
They do a lot of head tilting, which kind of gets to me. I think it's super cute.
I tell everybody, they're like, I don't know about horses. I'm like, do you like dogs? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, they're big dogs. They're big dogs with clunky feet.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
I've never, like, spent time around a horse. But, like, I think they look cool. So, you know. But I'm also a person that loves basically any animal. Like, if an animal was dropped at my door, it doesn't matter what it is. I will either take care of it myself or find someone to take care of it. Like a snake. If someone dropped off a snake in a little shelter, I will find someone to happily take care of that. I am not a big snake girl, but I also don't like the idea of any animal not having a good life. So
exactly. There was one horse at this barn. My dad, if he stood near the fence, it would come over. It'd wrap its head around Dad and pull him back to him.
Aww.
To give him a hug.
Aww.
So they're just like big puppies. They're so great. I always tell people, I'm like, you'd love horses. Like, they're great. Yes, they're a little intimidating because they're big, but you get a good horse and it's like, your life's changed. You're never going back.
Dude, horses are so muscular. Like, watching Black Beauty run, at some points I'm like, whoa.
Oh,
dude.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They are.
Looking beefy.
It's funny because they are like such muscular animals. They're so fast and whatnot, but their legs are like glass.
Yeah.
And it's like, I love how evolution just overlooked your legs completely.
Yes.
Just, oh,
Pothole.
yeah, pothole. Oh, well, now your entire leg is shattered. Good job.
Yeah, I'd be like, if I had a horse, I'd be walking that field and going through and like putting sandbags in any holes. Be like, all right, you stay over there for a little bit. Hold on.
It'd probably be following you, like, what you doing? You'd pour
What's
the
happening?
sand in and it would, like, roll in it and be like, whoa, look at this.
Mood. Big vibe. Um. Oh, I still don't understand why Jerry didn't take Beauty to the country. I will never understand that. I
I know.
I feel like could have been easily done. So don't get it.
Yeah, and like in the book it talks that he gets a job and they have a cottage and they're on like a farm. Like why wouldn't you be like, "Hey, why don't you just bring your horse?"
Yeah,
Especially
right?
in the movie it's just one horse, like in the book it was two.
Hmm.
Well, like in the movie it's one horse. Like
Yeah.
if you're working on a farm, he can help you. You now have a horse to bring you to town. Like,
I mean, you already own the horse.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't get
Like
it.
sell your cab and get like a little wagon instead or something. A little
Yeah.
light cart. Definitely did not make sense to me. Because I was like, even if you can't use him, your son can use him. Your daughter can use him.
Yeah.
Teach them how to drive a cart, and now they can help out whoever you're living with
Hmm.
get around. Like,
Well, I think he's also supposed to be like a private driver. So I really don't get it even more so, you know?
yeah, like, why wouldn't you? You're going to be a driver for someone in the country. So
Especially
it's
if you're
like,
like, this horse is really, really good, really well mannered, and their horse is, you know, not as well mannered, they could sell the other horse.
yeah. The only thing I could think of, but it doesn't make any sense, is if they were leaving the country and going to a different country because they're in
Mhm.
England.
Yeah.
So you have to go across the water, and it's easier nowadays, but then it would be so expensive.
Yeah.
But I'm
That I would
like,
understand, but they didn't specify that.
no, they're like, they're just gonna go live with these people in the country, and it's like, so take him.
Yeah. Like it's a plot hole that if it was a modern book it would have been fixed. However, has not been
I
fixed.
I get that like it had to go for like getting back to Joe and stuff,
Mhm.
but I'm like, I would have been okay with him living with Jerry and that family for the rest of his life. You know,
Me too.
even if all the worst abuse came first and then he found Jerry,
Yeah, right?
like that would have been adorable. I would be okay with that. Jerry was
Mhm.
great.
Yeah,
We
right?
love Jerry. We love the family. They're adorable. Like, clearly they love the horse.
Mhm. They could have
So,
just fixed it with a throwaway line of they're moving to a different country to live on the
yeah.
countryside. You know, they could have very easily fixed that to live outside of the city, but in like France or something.
Yeah. Like Squire Gordon, they had to sell everything because they had to move to a warmer country.
Hmm.
So they're like, that is why they are selling everything and leaving.
Yeah.
Because she needed to go somewhere warmer for her health. And England's not that.
She's living it up in Florida's beaches right now.
Right? So it's like, I also like the two different, like, lung issues. Because she had to go somewhere warmer and different. And
Hmm.
he had to go to the country. And like it's good to see that because
Yeah.
most people will be like, "Oh, you have lung problems. Go to like up here." It'll be like, "Go to Florida."
Hmm.
And I know people who went to Florida because they had lung issues, and it made it worse.
Well, you're supposed to. My understanding is you're
So they
supposed to go
came
to
back.
dry heat. I thought, like Arizona.
It depends on what is going on with your lungs
Oh,
too.
okay. Because
That's why a lot of people go to Florida because it's humid. If you need something, if you have like you need more moisture in your lungs, you go somewhere humid, like a rainforesty tropical area.
That makes sense.
And then
I
some
also
go to something drier.
do feel like people end up trying to like go beachside too much, but the problem is we also have red tide here. So if you have any sort of lung problems, if you're anywhere like within 10 miles of a beach during the red tide season, like it's gonna make it worse. So maybe
Yeah.
live in the middle of Florida, like outside of Orlando or something.
Yeah.
I just don't know what people's obsession with living right next to the beach is.
I honestly couldn't tell you either.
I
People
love the
are
beach.
obsessed with going to the coast. They're like, I need a beachside house. And I'm like, okay.
Don't get me wrong, I love living near the beach, but it's annoying that I can't find property for myself in like the area I grew up in. Like right now, I'm over an hour away from where I grew up, and it's fine. But I would love to be able to like move back to where I'm from because I really like that area of town.
Yeah.
So like, stop moving there, please, because I need to buy a house.
It's just like everyone. I mean, I don't mind the beach. I'm more of like a lake person,
I do like lakes.
freshwater, and like foresty person.
Mhm.
But like I see, it's so funny to me when people are like, I need to move to the beach, and then they move to the beach, and then they don't want to deal with the cold weather that comes with living on the ocean.
Mhm.
And they don't like the wind, and they don't like how stormy it gets on the ocean. And I'm like,
Or when they get mad about sand. It's like,
yes.
no matter what, you're going to attract sand into your house. It's just what it do.
Yeah.
It's an inevitability. So just like make it part of your vibe. Or get
Right?
a Roomba, you know?
Like, I've been to people's houses where they're like, yeah, it's sand. Like, I'd be like, I need to wipe off my feet. Like, is that okay? And they're like, it's sand, whatever. We live on the beach. Like,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be surprised if our floor was sand. Like, it's fine. And then I've seen other people where they live on the beach and they're constantly sweeping it out. Like, my guy.
Yeah. It's part of the vibe at this point. Just accept it.
Right? But,
Okay. I think that's all I have about this movie. Any final thoughts?
it is a great movie.
It is a very good movie.
It is the best adaptation I've seen. I've seen a lot of them of this book. So if you're looking for a good adaptation, go for this one.
Yeah, don't watch the 70s version. It's
I mean,
awful.
it's a great movie on its own anyway.
Yeah.
Like, regardless of being an adaptation or not, like, stellar.
Yeah, I think
it.
you'd watch this without reading the book and still have a lot of sympathy. Which is all that really matters.
It nailed the key parts of the book, for sure.
So good. Highly recommend. Please watch it. It's like $3 on Amazon. If it says Amazon Prime Video, it's the wrong movie. Don't watch it.
Or rent it on YouTube for $2.99, $3.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I did.
Yeah, then you'll know you'll get the right one.
Yes, you'll see the right cover and everything.
Amazon does you dirty. Watch YouTube. There goes my Amazon's partnership. Oh no.
The horror.
The horror. YouTube sponsor this. Thank you.
YouTube, you're the real MVP out there. It's all good.
But that is all I have. Thank you, Nova, so much for joining me.
Of course.
Yeah,
as always.
Yeah, of course. I know you're like almost a co-host, basically.
Okay. Funny story. I was telling my therapist about it,
Mm-hmm.
and I've told her a few times that I've been recording with you, and she at one point goes, "Are the two of you doing this together, or like is it hers?" I'm like, "It's hers." She goes, "Oh, okay." She's like, "You talk about it so much. I thought you were a co-host."
I mean, yeah, basically. You're like my go-to.
Ah, yeah.
My right-hand person.
Exactly. I'm always here. I got you.
When we do have our co-host podcast, we will tell you all about that, though.
Yes, it is coming.
Soon.
It's gonna be so good.
It's so gonna be so good. Yeah, but that'll be soon when my life feels like it's not falling apart.
What a mood.
Yeah.
It'll be coming. It'll be good.
It'll be
We'll
great.
love it. Yes.
Okay. But thank you. Where can all? Well, I mean, I feel like again, I'll still do it just in case there's new people who've never heard the podcast before. But where can the people of the internet find you and your stuff, Nova?
You can pretty much find me anywhere at Novosaurus Rex with 2 X's. I still haven't updated my link tree. It's fine. That's on my to-do list. It'll get there eventually, maybe. Who knows?
Vibe. Yeah. And you have a book coming out, so like, pre-order that.
I do.
Or order it if I don't know when this is.
I gotta set up the pre-order. It's fine.
I think
next week. I have a week.
Oh my god! Wait, a week until it comes out?
Yeah.
Well,
I'm nailing it. It's fine.
By the time this book comes, by the time the book is out, this episode will be already out. So like,
yes,
read it, love it, give it little kisses.
Actually, have stuff up on it. It's fine.
Are you doing another signed copy thing on Etsy?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to put there that it's not gonna be in time for the release date. It'll probably be a little bit after.
That's fine.
Unless Barnes & Noble sends it in like 2 days, it's likely not happening.
I'm gonna get a side copy on your Etsy because I like having signed copies.
Yes.
And then when you're famous, I can brag to all of my friends and be like, yeah, I have a signed copy. Bitch.
You could just be like, that's my best friend. Bitch.
Also, I do have that. Like, your book is like on my cart over here, so that
yeah.
Whenever someone's like, "Oh yeah, you have any writing friends?" I can just oh,
this one,
yeah, this one. Anyways,
you need to get a book out so I can do the same to you. Come on, chop. Let's get going.
Maybe I should just like publish my anthology, and then it gets over the fear of being a published author. You know, I can just
it definitely once you've done it once. Like now, I'm like I'm just procrastinating at this point, getting everything taken care of. I'm like, I've done it once, it's fine. And I'm like, you're going to make it hell for yourself, aren't you? Yes. The answer is yes. But, all those, first-time jitters are gone.
Yeah.
So it definitely helps. Once you get one out, it's like, oh, this is fine.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yes, do it.
Ask me again in January, okay?
Okay, I will.
Okay, beautiful. Excellent. Thanks. But thank you all the listeners, and we will catch you in the next chapter. Bye!